Lots of questions, but no need to fear. Question and Answer Wednesday is here. Yeah! Yet again, super excited. Thanks for joining us on Question and Answer Wednesday. Let's just get right into it. What's your everyday Before I go any further, I would like to say some of these questions might have been from last week that we didn't cover. Just keep the questions coming. I wanna at some point have a binder just full of questions. It's gonna be awesome. What's your everyday carry if you have one? I'm just gonna do a whole video on this. This was asked several times over the last 2 weeks. A video will be much more proper. Look for that within the next week and a half. What happened to Battle Horse Coalcracker knives, and do you ship products to Canada? We're in the process of setting up international shipping, so we're working on that. We've had a lot of success with the Battle Horse Coalcracker knives from its release, but I ended up moving in a new direction, and you're gonna hear it here first from me. So myself and the best machinists that I know are now in the process of making our own brand of knives. It will be called Coalcracker Tool Shop. We're gonna have knives and some other tools coming out. That will happen within about 3 to 4 months, I would say. We're trying to get that time frame closed down a little bit, but we're really trying to get stuff dialed in. Now, why did I decide to do this? Number one, because I love being out here, and if I can have something in total control at my own company, then that's what I'm gonna do. I assure you it's gonna be very high, great quality tools. They are going to be my designs. I'm super excited. This was a huge undertaking of a project, but it's turning out really well. So we will be controlling everything from the water jet cut, to the heat treat, to the grinds, everything. Handle finishing, shipping, I mean, everything is in my control now. That just makes me much more happier. I can control the product from beginning to end, and I'm responsible for everything of it. So I am super excited. The guy I'm working with, Jake, super excited. It's gonna be a great thing. How do you keep your wool blankets clean? Honestly, I don't do much with my wool blankets. I can't even tell you the last time I ever washed one. What I normally do with the wool blankets is if they get really muddy or dirty, I hang them out or I hang them inside. If it's during the winter time, I let them dry and then I just hit them with a stick like the old time they used to do with the rugs, knock all the dirt off and use it that way. What's your favorite gun to carry in the woods? I keep saying I'm gonna do this video. I promise I'm gonna do this video very soon about guns. Love the question and answer videos. You have anything in the North Carolina area coming up? I do not. I just don't have a really good venue down there. So if you know a really good venue that would be monetarily reasonable for me to come down to, by all means, message me or DM me. That would be cool. When it comes to making an ember fire, flint and steel, bow drill, hand drill, fire piston with charred material, do you consider using a ferro rod cheating? I would have to first ask the question of why are you lighting that material with the ferro rod when you should have a proper bird's nest that's gonna take an ember, so you can just light that bird's nest with the ferro rod. So is it cheating? No, I don't think, I mean, whatever makes you happy, but why are you gonna go through all that hassle of creating that dust or creating that initial, you know, tinder and then light that with a ferro rod only to put it in a bird's nest that you could have lit with the ferro rod? I hope that makes sense. Total side note though, as long as you're having a good time with it, the fire starting, there's no rules. People put these rules in place and I think we all get sucked in like, oh, if I don't light a fire this way, I'm not bushcrafting. That's a bunch of baloney. Will you take us along on a hunt someday? Do you use a flintlock in late season PA? Yes, I tried a majority of the time though to get all of that deer early season archery, so it's out of the way so I can do some more trapping. But I will take you guys along on a hunt. My problem has always been a videographer, and I don't know how I would video it and hunt. I know it's doable, I just really need to wrap my head around it. Does your beard provide superpowers in the wilderness as it does in everyday city life? Hell yeah. Would you consider going on Naked and Afraid? How about dual survival? Naked and Afraid? No, I'm definitely afraid. For sure. Just here's the thing. Naked and Afraid is bizarre to me. You have to be a special kind of person to want to do that. The getting just attacked by bugs and bit all day, not enjoyable at all to me. Zero enjoyment. The dual survival thing, it was a great show. I feel like I grew up watching that show always. The problem though is I feel like it's so many seasons in now at this point, it's not what it used to be. So I would really just love that bushcraft show. Again, somebody please reach out to me. Let's do a good bushcraft show. Do I ever set up perimeter security, tripwire noisemakers when overnight camping? No. I've never done that. How involved is your wife in your lifestyle? Does she think you're nuts, or does she enjoy a good trip to the woods? If you're married or with somebody long enough, you know better than just make up answers of what you think. So I have a good idea. Let's actually go and see what she thinks.
What are you doing here?
Question and answer Wednesday.
Yeah, shouldn't you be in the woods?
Yeah, but it's question and answer Wednesday.
Yeah, so go to the woods.
People are asking me questions about you, so I'm not answering them questions.
What's the question?
How involved is your wife in your lifestyle? Does she think you're nuts, or does she enjoy a good trip in the woods?
Yes, I am involved in his lifestyle. I think he's a little bit nuts, but I do love to go camping. Good?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay.
I think that's great.
All right.
Should I leave?
Yes.
All right. You back? All right, so that's what she had to say about that. When you get dressed in, now, before I read this question, I have got more questions about my feet and socks over the last 2 weeks than ever in my life. Is this an ongoing joke with the YouTube community? When you get dressed in the morning, do you put on a sock and a sock, or a sock and a shoe? Do you put on a sock and a shoe and a sock and a shoe? I put my socks on. I like to walk around barefoot at home. I put my socks on, and then before I leave, I put my shoes on. My feet are consistently muddy, and my wife wants to kill me all the time because the house is just constantly tracked with mud, so I try my best to take my shoes off at the door. She would say that that's not true. Dan, I'm horrible with knots. Can you do an episode on knots? If you look in my playlist column, there's cordage is one of the titles. Click that, I have all kind of knot videos in there. I know you spend a lot of time in the woods, but you ever do an urban setting video like preparedness, urban, car kit, etc.? I'm gonna have to think about that. Dan, why do you bother to answer dumb questions from idiots? It's basically pure comedy, and it makes me laugh. So, what's a good project for children to teach them some knife handling and bushcraft type skills? My daughters are 6th to 8th. Here's what I'm gonna say, because somebody just asked me this question the other day. Think super basic. This is what I wrote to them. I said, have them make some cordage, you know, just a twist and turn kind of cordage. Light and cotton balls with a ferro rod, that's a good one to do always. Have them throw rabbit sticks, tie some knots, give them a tent and tell them they have to figure out how to put it up. Roasting marshmallows, have them carve a stick. Hot dog sticks are really good. Next time, wear a tuxedo while doing bushcraft. Fine. How's that? Okay, you wanted it, you got it. What bushcraft skill technique was the hardest for you to master? Friction fire. I'm not a master of friction fire. It was a hard skill for me to learn. If you can only have one axe or hatchet, what one would you choose and why? This axe here is by far the best axe, the best axe / hatchet that I have ever owned. There's something about the handle design, the weight of the head, blade profile, everything. This is it. This is the end all. I have bought one axe since I purchased this. This is it. Like, I have found it. Only downfall with this axe is I wish the handle was about this much longer so I can really do some good chopping with it, but this is my go-to. The way it feels is amazing. But let's put this off to the side. To find one of these is quite difficult. It actually came from Russia. If you can find one, get it. If you can, I'm gonna show you an alternative. This is a old New Orleans axe that I got. I like axes preferably that have around a 2-pound head. About a 23-inch handle is best for me. And the reason I like that longer handle is because I'm taller. I just feel like it just fits me a little bit better than the 19-inch axes. And I also really like straight handles. They just seem like I have way more control with where this bit hits and when it hits compared to any other style handle. So that would be one of my go-tos. What's comparable to this out there? Gransford Bruck Scandinavian Forest Axe, very comparable to this in my mind. So something around that size, but this is where it's at. I love this axe. How do you feel about hammock camping? What are some advantages to sleeping on the ground instead of a hammock? Through the winter, I sleep on the ground. I just don't want to carry the extra equipment for winter hammock camping. So I know that there's a lot of good equipment out there, but I would rather just sleep on the ground. I'm comfortable on the ground, build some type of browse bed or carry a mat, sleep on the ground, and I'm good. What I do love about a hammock camp is in the summer, it is super comfortable. You're up off the ground. You don't have to worry about rainstorms washing you out or bugs crawling on you. It's super comfortable. So yes, I do love to hammock camp throughout the summer. You ever take a sled or wagon to help you bring extra supplies with you? Yes, the Sled of Death video, you can watch that, link below. How much of your diet is directly collected from nature? About 30% of the meat we eat at home is collected from nature, mostly venison. Ed Kowalski, why didn't I ask a question this week? I'm not sure, Ed, why didn't you? What's your opinion of new ultralight packing gear? Packs, tents, hammocks, tarps, tents, sleeping bags, and quilts. Number one, I think it's very good equipment. I've seen some of it, I messed around with a little bit of it. It's just not specific to what I do out here. That is really for those backpacking, trekking type of people, I believe, who are putting long distances in and day out. My question that everybody that always gets very hyped up around ultralight gear is this. If you're worried about saving 4, even 10 pounds of gear weight on your back, you shouldn't be carrying 40 or 50 extra pounds of body fat on you. You need to be in tip-top shape. So to me, I don't see a huge difference between a 30 and 50 pound pack. Now, before everybody screams and yells about that, this is the thing. Being in very good physical shape will allow you to do a lot more. So yes, 50 pounds sucks compared to 30, but if you're in really good shape, you're really lean, you have great endurance, you put the 50 pounds on, you just suck it up and you do it. It's not that devastating to yourself. But again, if you're in tip-top shape and you're gonna hike to AT, long 20 and 30 and 40 miles a day type trips, yeah, if you're super lean and super in shape and now you throw in that light gear, all the better. But if you're 40 or 50 pounds overweight and you're worried about 5 ounces in your pack, just reevaluate what's going on there. I didn't mean to go on a rant on that thing. It just bothers me all the time when I hear people say about they're saving 3 ounces on a canteen. Meanwhile, they are literally like the biggest out of shape person in the entire world. Just get in shape. I'm a huge proponent of being in shape. What's your thoughts on permethrin? Great for ticks. You're put crazy chemical all over your body and clothing though, so I don't really use it. The only time I have used it was last year. I was at a training in Georgia. The ticks were insane. The guy I was rooming with had some, so I used it. Otherwise, I don't use much of it, but I mean, it's a fine product. What bushcraft or hobby style time killers do you use? Example, when weather keeps you in a tent or shelter for extended periods of time. Some type of leather. I love to do leather work, or I'll take some material and sew some type of pouch, or I'll carve something. So I carry some carving tools with me. Aside from the char cloth and pre-dried chaga, what else in the woods can be used with flint and steel? Milkweed pods are usable with flint and steel, but I'm gonna say this. I didn't do a video on it yet. Myself and my instructor Mike have been back and forth with this. It sometimes works, kind of, if it's the right situation. Sometimes it doesn't. We haven't had consistency yet, so that's why I didn't really share it with everybody yet. But if it's super dry, it's been dry for a while, no humidity, and you get a dried milkweed pod, that inner lining will hold somewhat of an ember, but it's hit or miss. That's the only thing I'm really aware of that works really well like that, just grabbing off the landscape. How did people before water filtration clean or make sure that the water is safe to drink? Pioneer era. They didn't know enough about water, so they would just drink the water, which would lead to a lot of sickness and even death possibly. If you look back, there's some historical record of Benjamin Franklin saying that he would drink beer all day. And the reason that the colonial people drank a lot of beer was because they would never get sick from beer. And they didn't know why, so they just made the beer, and it was because they were boiling it during the process. So that's a little tidbit of history, and 10 seconds of your life you'll never get back. Do you drink? What's your poison? Like a fish. So, okay, listen. Before the few morons flip out that I'm a loser because I drink Coors Light, you can feel free to unsubscribe. All kidding aside though, people get absolutely crazy because I say I drink Coors Light. I have a very weird taste in beers. What I mean by that is I love to drink Coors Light. I have a couple beers probably just about every night. But from Coors Light, if I'm gonna be out somewhere or I'm at a brewery, I love very heavy porters and stouts. Two ends of the spectrum. I'm not an IPA drinker. I just don't like that hoppy taste. I like more malty type beers. I like heavy beers. I like red Irish ale kind of beers. And Coors Light's like my go-to. I feel like I can just drink a bunch of them and enjoy myself. Ooh, it's like water. Yeah, it is like water. I'll punch you right in the face. This is from my friend Matt. Matt, like the purpose is to write below, not private message me your questions. I'll answer it anyway though. What type of repair kit do I carry in the field? Considering that most of the materials that I try to carry are natural, so leather, fur, cotton, canvas, anything like that I can sew. This thing is called a hoosif or a housewife. You don't need anything special like this. This is made of brain tan. Basically a good variety of needles, and then this pouch up here has artificial sinew, some normal sewing thread for clothing, and then the thinner bank line, like the number 72, that breaks down, is great for sewing. It comes down to having really good needles. If you have some good heavy duty needles, you can sew just about anything back together. So sewing kit is really the only thing I carry repair wise. How many extra socks you typically take, if any, say on a 2 or 3 day trip? Socks are like the secret pleasure in the outdoors. You put a nice, clean, dry pair of socks on at the end of the day. Oh, pure bliss. Honestly, I mean, you can't carry 1,000 pairs of socks. So normally what I'll do on, let's say, a 3 day trip is whatever pair I have on. I have one specific heavy wool pair that I wear only for bed, because how dirty your feet gonna get while you're sleeping. And then I'll carry normally one extra pair per day up to 3 days. So if I'm going on a 3 day trip, the pair I have on, 2 extra pair, and the pair for sleeping, because after 3 days then I'll just start to wash. So the first day, whatever socks I have, I'll take them down to stream, wash them, they'll be dry by day 4, put them on, and I just rotate it that way. Do you live in a year round, or is this simply for your school? It is more for my school. I'll spend like extended trips here, but I don't live out of the year. If you're packing light on a 2 day hike, what's your go-to carry food? I carry the same foods quite consistently. I carry jerky, I'll carry sardines or kippered snacks. The biggest problem with them is that stupid can afterwards. Just carry a Ziploc bag, throw it in there, and you should be good to go. I also carry flour along with me for Johnny bread or some type of dumpling, and then I'll always take just a meat source with me. It might be bacon, a piece of steak, maybe some sausage. Summertime, that gets a little bit dicey because you got to keep that stuff cold, so somebody will purposely pack a little bit of ice with that just to keep it cold till we get to our spot. Longer term, I mean, you're gonna really have to get into either canned foods or dried goods. This is from my friend Mark Shockley. Who would win in an arm wrestling match between you and Dave Canterbury, and between you two, whom do you believe will handle their eventual loss to me with the most grace whenever we get to hang out? First off, if I can remember correctly, you sold me a Gransford Bruks felling axe because your forearms, you said, were too weak to swing it. I'm just saying. Second part of that question, you're gonna beat me? I'm like a savage. Get the strap out. Get the strap out. Who's gonna beat me? Come on. Canterbury, boom. Shockley, boom. You're all going down. That was absolutely awesome to have that sequence. I love doing that. And I think that's gonna actually finish up. I don't know what's gonna top that for this week. That was great. What I will say is, if you can name what movie that came from in the description below, first one named it wins a free t-shirt. Some exclusions will apply, like just leave it down below. Okay, so thank you for, again, participating in this question and answer. If you have a question you want answered next week, leave it below. It will not be answered until next week, or the week after that, or the week after that. But it's great, guys. Keep leaving the questions. I have such a great time doing this. It's so much fun. So thanks to everybody out there for making this happen. As always, check us out over at Coalcracker.bushcraft.com for all our classes and merchandise and our upcoming knife shop, all that good stuff. And until the next video, stay in the woods, guys.